Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, we can get so welcome all for the Nityam Bhagavata Shravanam. Today's verse is from Canto 5, Chapter 3, texts 1 to 3, right, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
1 to 3. And over to you, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
I seek the blessings of all the Vaishnavas. We start with prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Ruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaaya Namo Namaha. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatan Sahagana Raghunathanutam tam sajivam sadvaitam savadutam parijana sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatavini Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauravatvishenam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Sri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. I would like to seek the blessings of all the devotees before we begin today's verse. So we are starting with 5th canto, 3rd chapter, shlokas 1 to 3. So this chapter is entitled Rishabhadev's appearance in the womb of Meru Devi, the wife of King Nabi. We'll read the summary given by Srila Prabhupada and then recite the verses and also discuss. In this chapter, the spotless character of King Nabi, the oldest son of Agnidra, is described. Wanting to have sons, Maharaj Nabi underwent severe austerities and penances. He performed many sacrifices along with his wife and worshipped Lord Vishnu, the master of all sacrifices. Being very kind to his devotees, the Supreme Personality of Godhead was pleased with the austerities of Maharaj Nabi. He personally appeared before the king in his four-handed feature, and the priests who were performing the sacrifices began to offer their prayers unto him. They prayed for a son like the Lord, and Lord Vishnu agreed to take birth in the womb of Meru Devi, the wife of King Nabi, and incarnate as King Rishabhadeva. So, in the previous chapter, it was seen how Agnidra, the one of the sons of King Priyavrat, how he was very much attached to the heavenly damsel Purvachiti, and through her he begot 9 children, and the eldest one of the 9 is King Maharaj Nabi. So Bhagavatam, it is said is Amala Puran. Amala Puran means spotless. And even in the second verse, it is said, Dharma Projita Kaitavo. That means all the cheating religion is kicked out from Srimad Bhagavatam. But if you look at the previous chapter, uh, it sees there is nothing to do with pure devotion, because in the previous chapter, all the glorification that Maharaj Agnidra was glorifying Purvachiti, about her beauty, about her smile, about her glance, everything. Uh, it it had nothing to do with Vishnu. So one may wonder, how can Srimad Bhagavatam, which is called as Amala Puran, where it is said it is all cheating religion are kicked out, but I see nothing related to Vishnu there. How is it different from the other Puranas, which talk about so much of Karma Kanda, etc.? So, two things we hear from the senior Vaishnavas how this is Amala Puran. One is that in all other scriptures, if it is, let us say, some Karma Kanda section, it the whole story ends in they happily lived ever after, like that. So it would have stopped probably after I mean, he was doing austerity in the cave, and then once Purvachiti got married, I mean, once she married Agnidra and begot children, the story would have ended there. But Bhagavatam does not cheat the living entity. Any section we see, like how even when Dhruva Maharaj went to do tapasya, and he saw Lord Vishnu, and he got the kingdom also, but it it sees two things happen. One is sometimes when the Lord's darshan is seen, the heart gets transformed, and they realize how petty their initial desires was, like in the case of Dhruva Maharaj. Uh, and in other cases, even if they get the material gain, and they are not in a position to realize how futile it is, but eventually, with the passage of time, they will understand that, oh, I have wasted my valuable life. Like we see in the pastime of Pururava, uh, and how Spururava was so attached to his wife, and for years, and then there was a condition that Pururava was supposed to fulfill the condition of mentioned by her by her wife, his wife, and one condition was he should not come out without any clothes. And one such situation happened that he had to go out, and immediately Pururava's wife left him. And then he did intense tapasya, saw the beautiful darshan of Vishnu. But even after seeing it, he still asked, can you give me back my wife? So sometimes it could happen that even after seeing Vishnu, the material desires are so intense that there's no transformation, and it is only our material desires that take over. But Bhagavatam doesn't stop. Okay, he got his wife like that. For years together they enjoy, then they realize the futility, and then they understand, oh, what we have aspired for is like very petty, and then they go towards God. Or sometimes, like as mentioned in the previous chapter, although Agnidra enjoyed with her, eventually she left, and Purvachiti went back to the heavenly abode. And then Agnidra, constantly thinking of her, eventually he actually got promoted to the Pitraloka. So in the Bhagavatam, it is said, oh, he lost a golden opportunity to go back to Godhead because of this one in strong attachment. So that way we can understand it is not a cheating religion, or it's not karma kand, because in other scriptures that ending of going to Pitraloka is glorified, but here it is said, oh, what a bad choice, when a higher option was there. he just settled for a lower thing that way. So in that way, we can understand Bhagavatam wants to give the highest benefit to all living entities. And another reason why such sections are mentioned is seemingly there may be no connection to Krishna, but very soon in that same dynasty, you will see that pure devotees like Maharaj Nabi is taking birth as the son of Agnidra, and then his son Rishabhadev, who is an incarnation of Lord, will appear. So sometimes, in order to describe, in order to give the entrance of a pure devotee, the history is also required to be spoken. So in that context, we understand that nothing in the Bhagavatam is on the level of dharma, artha, kama, moksha. It is all tending to pure devotional service. And now these three shlokas, Shukadev Goswami, this entire chapter, the summary of this chapter, this is also very small chapter like the previous one. So the first text, Shukadev Goswami says why Maharaj Nabi was performing the sacrifice and how he performed the sacrifice. And then in the third verse, Lord Vishnu actually appears and description of Vishnu's beauty is given. And from text 4 onwards, it is all the prayers offered by the priests when Lord Vishnu appeared. And they are begging on behalf of King Nabi. You will see in text 13, it is said, my dear Lord, here is the great King Nabi, whose ultimate goal is to have a son like you. So the priests are requesting on behalf of the performer of the sacrifice. So we can understand how the priests were truly wanting to ensure that the sacrifice is for the welfare of Nabi, and he attains the purpose. So they were pleading in a very earnest manner to the Lord, please bless him to have a child. And then in the next verse, here in the same verse, they're also in one sense chastising or criticizing King Nabi. They're saying, although you can offer him any exalted position, including elevation to heavenly planets or liberation back to Godhead, he is just asking for a simple thing, like he's just desiring for a son, like that. And then in the 14th chapter, 14th shloka, the priests are saying that unless one worships the lotus feet of great devotees, his intelligence will always be bewildered. So that means they are taking a humble role, that even though they were there performing the sacrifice, they felt that they were also not pure devotees. For if they were actually pure devotees, by then King Nabi would have been inspired to seek for something higher, like that. Indeed, those who have not been carried away, by the waves of who has not been carried away? Everyone has been carried away by the waves of material enjoyment, like poison, like that. So they are praying for this. And then the priests who were even worshipped by King Nabi, they bowed down at the lotus feet of Lord, and even Nabi also bowed down at the lotus feet of Lord. And then the Supreme Lord says, I am called Asamordhava. There is nobody like me or superior to me. So very tough to give a son like me. I myself shall incarnate. And why? Because he says, because you are all qualified Brahmanas, your vibrations should not prove untrue. Therefore, I consider the Brahmanas who are well qualified with Brahminical qualities to be as good as my own mouth. So, therefore, he agrees. And then the Lord disappeared, and both the wife of King Nabi, Meru Devi, and her husband, she could hear everything what Supreme Lord had spoken. And then the Lord personally decided to exhibit the method of executing religious principles. So consequently, the Lord decided to personally exhibit the method of executing religious principles, and he incarnated. So what was the purpose of Lord Rishabhadev's appearance? It was to personally exhibit how one should be a strict grahastha, vanaprastha, brahmachari and sannyasi, engaged in rituals that way, and also to satisfy Maharaj Nabhi's desire. So in the last verse we see how Lord is so intelligent that in one task or one activity he accomplishes he satisfies many desires or conditions. Like here, in order to fulfill Nabhi's desire, he appeared, but he also simultaneously wanted to incarnate on the earth to teach people on how to execute all the religious principles based on different ashrams in a proper manner. So this is the summary of this chapter. 20 shlokas we have. And now we shall read the 3 shlokas here. Shri Shuka Uvacha Nabir Apatya Kamo Aprajaya Meru Devya Bhagavantam Yagna Purusham Avahitatmaya Jata. Sri Shuka Uvacha. Shukadev Goswami said, Nabi, the son of Maharaj Agnidra, Apatya Kamaha, desiring to have sons, Aprajaya, who had not given birth to any children, Meru Devya, with Meru Devi, Bhagavantam, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Yagna Purusham, Lord Vishnu, the master and enjoyer of all performances of sacrifice, Avahita Atma, with great attention, Ayajata, offered prayers and worship. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shukadev Goswami continued to speak. Maharaj Nabhi, the son of Agnidra, wished to have sons, and therefore he attentively began to offer prayers and worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, the master and enjoyer of all sacrifices. Maharaj Nabhi's wife Meru Devi, who had not given birth to any children at that time, also worshipped Lord Vishnu with her husband. So here in the shloka, some key words are how one should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead and offer prayers. One must be very attentive. It is said even in the Guru Puja, Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma Vandomoi Savadana Mate. Savadan means attention. So even in the Guru Puja it is said, while dealing with great personalities, one has to be very attentive. Why? Because they are Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma. The Guru is considered to be the abode or the house. Sadma means house of bhakti. He's a storehouse of bhakti. Even this time during the yatra at Jagannath Puri, Radhanath Maharaj was mentioning how Krsna is also like a storehouse or reservoir of all pleasure, like that. So in that way, when we are associating with great personalities, to the degree we are very attentive, then so there are 3 levels, it is said. First is there needs to be some attraction to that person, and then when there is attraction to that person, then one will try to be attentive to the instructions, because we are attracted to that person. We want to be always pleasing that person, and when we are attracted by somebody, naturally we also want to be more attentive. So from attraction, eventually we should also try to be attentive, because we may say, I'm attracted by my guru, I'm attracted to all the Vaishnavas, but the symptom of attraction is attention, because love means attention to details. So we may say, I love a person, but how do we know whether we love that person? Whether we are attentive to all the details, that way. So from attraction comes attention. And then when one is attentively doing all the following all the instructions for a prolonged period of time, then eventually from attention one goes to absorption. That means he's completely oblivious to all other things and fully with the Lord while chanting the holy names, while hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, and while serving the devotees, like that. So here also we see the importance of being attentive in any aspect of spiritual life, because that will eventually give us absorption that way. So yeah, this is one thing that we can see here. And even in the NOI, nectar of instruction, also it is mentioned the example of the jaundice disease. Although holy name is very sweet, but because we have a jaundice disease like condition, we are not able to taste the sweetness of the holy name. And then many a times while preaching to others also, we say that just like sugarcane juice is the medicine for jaundice, in the same way, if we go on taking sugarcane juice for a prolonged period of time, eventually the disease may get cured, will get cured, and we will be able to taste the sweetness of the holy name. But in that verse, it is said, not just taking the sugarcane juice, because in Ayurveda also it is said, even if we regularly take the medicine, sometimes we may not get cured, because the first element needed for the medicine to be successful is kintu adarat, anudinam kalusaiva jushta. That means one should first have great respect for that person or for that medicine. And because of that great respect, anudinam, that person is feeling that I should not give this up at any day, like that. So this is a litmus test. Like there are so many options in our ICC congregation also, in where there are so many forums where people come together for chanting, for reading, hearing, like that. But many a times I see myself also that why am I not regular to these forums? Because currently that respect is not there. Because when there is respect, naturally, when there is respect, we will also want to take it regularly, the medicine, that way. So these are few things on this word attention, that the holy name will not reveal itself to us simply by chanting regularly, but one should chant with respect. Then one will be attentive while chanting, and eventually then one can the holy name will reveal itself, like that. So, and another thing we can see from this whole shloka is how Maharaj Nabi and Agnidra, they did not they saw everything as an offering to Vishnu. Even in the section of Kardama Muni wanting to get married, we see how sincere Kardama Muni was while performing austerities, because he understood that yes, my mind is wanting to have a partner, and but at the same time I know that the life's ultimate goal is to go back to Godhead. So he was really prayerful that I want to lead this life as an offering to you, Vishnu. So please give me a wife of very good disposition, so that she will help me in my spiritual advancement. And same way here we see Maharaj Nabi also. They wanted to have children, but not just have children, but have children as an offering to Lord Vishnu. Even in the 4th chapter, Bhagavad Gita, I was just going through this shloka. where it is mentioned, this verse, 26th shloka. If we read the translation, it is said, Shrotad Shrotadindriyanye samyamagnishu juhvati Shabdadin Vishayananya Indriyagnishu Juhvati. So for the brahmacharis, the Yajna Kunda is the ears where the Shabda Brahma they hear and try to get the realization. And for the Grahasthas, so the hearing process sacrifice, some of the brahmacharis sacrifice the hearing process and the senses. They sacrifice the senses in the fire of mental control. And for the grihasthas, they sacrifice the objects of senses in the fire of senses. So here also it is said, for grihasthas or regulated householders, for them, here in the purport, it is said, sex, intoxication, and meat eating are general tendencies of human society, but a regulated householder does not indulge in unrestricted sex life. Marriage on the principles of religious life is therefore common. And then Prabhupada is saying this restricted sex life is also a kind of yajna, because through this his general tendency, he's sacrificing his general tendency towards sense gratification for a higher transcendental life. So they see that as a grahastha, it is one of our responsibility that very nice Krishna conscious progeny is begotten, and for that one needs to be more Krishna conscious also, like that. So they see that as an offering, and therefore they're depending on Lord Vishnu here. The second shloka, Tasyaha Vava Shraddhaya Vishuddha Bhavena Yajataha Pravargeshu Pracharastu Dravya Deshakala Mantra Twig Dakshina Vidhana Yoga Patya Duradigmo Api Bhagavan Bhagavata Vatsalyata Supratika Atmanam Aparajitam Nija Janabi Pretartha Viditsaya Grihita Hridayangamam Mano Nayana Nandana Avyayabhiramam Avishchakara. Tasya, when he Nabi, Havava, certainly, Shraddhaya, with great faith and devotion, Vishuddha Bhavena, with a pure, uncontaminated mind. Yajataha was worshipping Pravargeshu, while the fruitive activities called Pravargya, Prachastu, were being performed, Dravya. So here Prabhupada is saying, in the shloka it is mentioned what all were offered in a pleasing manner. Dravya, the ingredients, Desha, place, Kala, time, Mantra, hymns, Ritvik, priests conducting the ceremony, Dakshina, gifts to the priest, Vidhana, regulative principles, Yoga, and of the means, Upataya, by the performance, Duradigmaha, not obtainable, Api, although Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, Bhagavata Vatsalyataya, because of his being very affectionate to his devotees, Suprakatitaha, Supratikaha, possessing a very beautiful form, Atmanam, himself, Aparajitam, not to be conquered by anybody, Nijajana, devotee, Abhipreta Artha, the desire, Viditsaya, to fulfill. Grihita hridayaha, his heart being attracted. Hridayangamam, captivating. Mana nayana ananda, pleasing to mind and eyes. Avyaya, by the limbs. Abhiramam, beautiful. Avishchakara, manifested. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. In the performance of sacrifice, there are 7 means, transcendental means, to obtain the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By sacrificing the valuable things or eatables, by acting in terms of the place, by acting in terms of time, by offering hymns, by going through the priest, by offering gifts to the priest, and by observing regulative principles. However, one cannot always obtain the Supreme Lord through this paraphernalia. Nonetheless, the Lord is affectionate to his devotees. Therefore, when Maharaj Nabi, who was a devotee, worshipped and offered prayers to the Lord with great faith and devotion, and with a pure, uncontaminated mind, superficially performing some yajna in the line of pravargya, the kind Supreme Personality of Godhead, due to his affection for his devotees, appeared before King Nabi in his unconquerable and captivating form with 4 hands. In this way, to fulfill the desire of his devotee, Supreme Personality of Godhead manifested himself in his beautiful body before his devotee. This body pleases the mind and eyes of the devotees. So here, in the translation itself, we can see how the Lord is not just, of course, we need to do all these external things also properly, because we respect the whole process of the Vedic method, or the Pancharatra mentioned by Narada, when we want to worship Supreme Lord. All these things are done, but Lord is not going to appear just because of them. The most important ingredient is bhakti, the affection, and that is why Lord appeared here. We have so many pastimes where, in that famous song, Krishna Jin Ka Naam Hai, in that it is said, Duryodhan Ka Bhog Na Kayo. Lord did not eat, although he was invited by Duryodhan and a royal feast was arranged. But he went to the house of Vidur, and Vidura's wife was just offering peels of banana. In ecstasy, she did not even offer the banana, but was offering the peels, and Lord happily accepted it. So, Lord is hungry for the offering of his pure devotees. So even we see the Gopas and Mother Yashoda, as soon as Mother Yashoda began churning, Krishna appeared, wanting to appear there. So the gopis, Lord would go and steal butter from the house of gopis. There was no offering done, no mantra done, but their affection to the Lord invited the Lord into their house, and even without them calling, Lord went there and stole butter that way. So when Lord is very pleased, he himself comes running to meet the devotee. Like even Sudama, when Sudama came to the palace, Lord came running. Lord was more eager to see him. Even Muchukunda, because he had served the demigods and he was a pure devotee, although he was sleeping, he asked for the benediction of sleeping. Lord went into the cave and gave him darshan, and revived his senses back. So this is the Lord. When Lord is pleased, all the rules and regulations for him are secondary. Even that pastime in Jagannath Puri, we hear how a lady was cooking khichdi every day, and when she became old, because Lord would, she cooked it with so much devotion that Lord Jagannath would personally come to her home and honor khichdi every day. And because Jagannath came very early, she was not she just cooked. As soon as she got up, without taking bath, she cooked. And then suddenly one day a devotee observes this, and he explains, no, you have to follow all the rules and regulations like that. But then later Jagannath tells the person that actually, I was enjoying early morning. She used to cook and give me hot khichdi as soon as I am woken up. But now, because you have put all these rules, she has to go take bath, then do all this. It becomes so delayed, and by then the temple they begin offering. So I have to quickly leave that place and come and accept the boga which is being offered to me here, and it's becoming too difficult. So when he said this, the Brahmana understood that she was having so much of devotion that for such people, the Lord never minds about the rules and regulations. So even in this world, we see if somebody is really touched the heart of some company manager or boss, etc. So for him, all the other formalities are not so important. If they know he's very sincere, sometimes even if he comes late or goes early, nobody asks. But for those who do not work, for them all the rules and regulations are kept intact. Like so, even in the purport, Prabhupada is writing the same thing. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly said, "Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yaschasmi tatvatah tato mam tatvato jnatva vishate tad anantaram." Only one can understand the Supreme Personality as he is, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of Supreme Lord, by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. One can understand and see the Supreme Personality of God through the process of devotional service and not in any other way. Although Maharaj Nabi performed his duties and sacrifices, it should still be considered that the Lord appeared before him not due to his sacrifices, but because of his devotional service. It was for this reason that the Lord agreed to appear before him in his beautiful bodily features. So even in the Damodar Leela we see Yashoda was falling 2 fingers short, and the Acharyas say the first finger is our endeavor. That means we very beautifully, with great respect, devotion, we do all these activities. And then when Lord sees how this devotee is so sincere in all his activities, then he gives his mercy, and then he agrees to manifest in front of us. Even the South Indian Brahmana we see at Sri Rangam, when he was reading Bhagavad Gita with incorrect grammar, Sanskrit, etc. All other Brahmanas were ridiculing him. But because he was sincerely following the words of Guru and had great faith and love, affection for Guru, automatically he was able to appreciate the whole Bhagavad Gita. He was constantly shedding tears. Mahaprabhu asked him, I see that your pronunciation is not so correct, but on the other hand, I see how you are able to uh, exhibit these tears of ecstasy. What is it that is going through in your heart that you are so happy by reading the Bhagavad Gita? Then he reveals, every time when I open the Bhagavad Gita, the picture of how Krishna, being such a nice Bhakta Vatsal, agreeing to be the chariot driver of his own devotee, Arjuna, taking such a menial position, that touches my heart. And then I cannot help but automatically tears spring out from my eyes. So Mahaprabhu said, this is the perfection. So by devotion, Lord is always conquered, not simply by mere rituals, etc. Prabhupada is continuing, as stated in Brahma Samhita, the Supreme Lord in his original nature is very beautiful. Venum Kwanantam Aravinda Dalaya Taksham Varahavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam. Supreme Personality of Godhead, although blackish, is very, very beautiful. So that beautiful personality, Maharaj Nabi was able to behold Lord's darshan. And in the third verse, the beauty of Lord's form is described. Atah tam avishruta bhuja yugala dvayam hiranmayam purusha vishesha kapisha kausheyambara taram urasi vilasat Srivatsal Lalamam Daravara Vanaruha Vana Malachuri Amrita Mani Gadadibir Upalakshitam Sputa Kirana Pravara Mukutakundala Kataka Katik Sutra Harakeyura Nupuradi Angabhushana Vibhushitam Ritvik Sadasya Grihapatayo Adana Ivottama Dhanam Upalabdya Sabahumanam Arhanena Vanata Shirana Upastuhu Upatastuhu. Ataha, thereafter, ha, certainly, tam, him, avishkrita bhuja yugala dvayam. Avishkrita bhuja yugala dvayam, who manifested himself with 4 arms, hiranmayam, very bright, purusha vishesha, topmost of living entities, purushottama, kapisha kausheya ambara dharam, wearing a yellow silk garment, urasi, on his chest, vilasat, beautiful, Srivatsa, called Srivatsa, Lalamam, Lalamam, possessing the mark, Daravara, by conch shell, Vanaruha, lotus flower, Vanamala, garland of forest flowers, Achuri, disc, Amritamani, Gaustaba gem, Gada Adibihi, and by the club and other symbols, Upalakshitam, symptomized, Sputakirana, radiant, Pravara, excellent, Mukuta, helmet, Kundala, earrings, Kataka, bracelets, Katisutra, griddle, Hara, necklace, Keyura, armlets, Nupura, ankle bells, Adi, and so on, Anga, of the body, Bhushana, with the ornaments, Vibhushitam, decorated, Ritvik, the priests, Sadasya, associates, Grihapataya, Grihapati means the performer of the sacrifice, King Nabi, Adanaha, poor persons, Iva, like Uttamadhanam, a great treasure, Upalabdhya, having achieved, Sabahumanam, with great regard, Arhanena, with ingredients of worship, Avanta, bent, Shiranaha, their heads, Upatastuhu, worshipped. Translation. Lord Vishnu appeared before King Nabi with 4 arms. He was very bright and he appeared to be the best of all personalities. Around the lower portion of his body, he wore a yellow silken garment. On his chest was the mark of Srivatsa, which always displays beauty. He carried a conch shell, lotus flower, disc and club, and he wore a garland of forest flowers and the Gaustubha gem. He was beautifully decorated with a helmet, earrings, bangles, belt, pearl necklace, armlets, ankle bells, and other bodily ornaments bedecked with radiant jewels. Seeing the Lord present before them, King Nabi and his priests and associates felt just like poor people who have suddenly attained great riches. They perceived the Lord and respectfully bent their heads and offered him things in worship. Purport. It is distinctly mentioned here, the Supreme Personality of Godhead did not appear as an ordinary human being. He appeared before King Nabi and his associates as the best of all personalities, Purushottama, as stated in the Vedas, Nityo Nityanam, Chetanas Chetananam, Katha Upanishad. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is also a living entity, living being, but he is the supreme living being. In Bhagavad Gita 7.7, Lord Krishna himself says, Matha parataram nanya kinchid asti dhananjaya. O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. No one is more attractive or more authoritative than Lord Krishna. So, two words Prabhupada is mentioning. Nobody is more attractive, neither is anybody more authoritative than Lord Krishna. And that is one of the difference between God and ordinary living being. According to this description, the transcendental body of Lord Vishnu, the Lord can be easily distinguished from all other living beings. So we see even in Vaikuntha planets, although all Vishnu Dutas appear like Lord Vishnu, but then even there is distinction because Gaustubamani, Sri Vatsa Chinna, they are all present only on the body of Lord Vishnu. Consequently, Maharaj Nabi and his priests and associates all offered the Lord obeisances and began to worship him with various things, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita. So, Yam labdva cha param labham manyate na adikam tata yasmin sthito na dukkena guru napi vichalyate. So, in the Bhagavad Gita, also it is said, the greatest benefit or labha is to get the darshan of the Lord and to get the service of the Lord, to get constant association of the Lord and his devotees. So, that is the yam labha, yam labdva, cha aparam labham. So, all other labha looks very inferior when one has attained this labha. And what is the proof that all other gains look very insignificant for that person? Yasmin sthitona dukkena guru napi vichalyate. The proof that he is fully able to realize that this is the greatest gift that I have got is even when there are great difficulties, all others may feel, how is he still able to continue bhakti? But he happily goes on in bhakti because he understands that there is no other better gift than this. So that is the proof whether one has realized that Krishna consciousness is the topmost gift that a person has got. Yam labdva cha param labham manyate na adhikam tata yasmin sthito na dukkena guru napi vichalyate. Gurun means very heavy. When a very heavy dukkha comes in his life, he is not budging 1 inch from service of Krishna. In fact, his determination to serve Krishna increases all the more. More the difficulty, more his determination increases, like that. So, and that is the way a devotee who feels he has got the greatest benefit of Krishna consciousness feels. When one realizes God and sees the Lord face to face, one certainly thinks that he has gained the best of all things. Rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. When one experiences a higher taste, his consciousness is fixed. After seeing the personality of Godhead, one ceases to be attracted by anything material. One then remains steady in his worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, Prabhupada is saying here how when one experiences something higher, the higher taste, especially the form of the Lord or the pastimes, one experiences the name, form, qualities, pastime, any one of them or every one of them. If one experiences it fully, then he does not, he ceases to be attracted to anything material, like that. So, Haridas Thakur was absorbed in the names of the Lord. The prostitute, he was not attracted to the prostitute. In Sri Rangam, Dhanurdas was very much attracted to a girl called Hemamba. But when Ramanujacharya, through his mercy, gave Dhanurdas the darshan of the form of the Lord, and then when he was attracted to the form of the Lord, he was not attracted to anything material, like that. And Rukmani and even the Brahmana Patnis, they were attracted to the pastimes of the Lord because they would hear, Rukmani would hear from Narada Muni, and the Brahman Patnis would hear from the gopis while selling butter on the pastimes of the Lord. And because they were attracted by the pastimes of the Lord, they were not attracted to anything material. Rukmani did not want to marry anyone except Krishna. The Brahman Patnis were willing to risk their relationship at home with their husbands in order to serve Krishna, like that. So they are not attracted to anything material. Name, form, qualities, pastime, any one of them. If one is attracted, he no longer sees to be materially attracted to anybody else, like that. Then he remains steady in worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So I think with this, I will stop. Please forgive me if I spoke something beyond my realization or could not serve devotees properly. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Haridev Krishna. Wonderful class. Full justice to all the shlokas, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. I mean, you wonderfully started with summarizing the entire chapter, and a few things which I noted very significant were in the first verse you mentioned symptom of attraction is being attentive, and how we should move from attention to absorption. And next you also mentioned the holy name is revealed when it is chanted respectfully. So that was a wonderful point. And the second verse you mentioned that how Lord can be pleased only by bhakti. And you give the examples of the Saudhana Brahmana from Srirangam. And the third verse, very nicely you mentioned how different ways of attraction there. One is the holy name is Haridas, example is Haridas Thakur. Second one is Dhanurdas, who was attracted by the darshan of the Lord. And Rukmini and the Brahmana Patnis were attracted by the pastimes of the Lord. And because of that, they were not attracted to anything material and they remained steady. So thank you so much, Prabhuji. I will open up the lines for the devotees and they can add the comments, thoughts, and questions. Hare Krishna, devotees, the lines are open. You could go ahead and ask questions, inputs, or comments. Hare Krishna, I hope you're able to unmute yourself. Yes, Prabhu. Any inputs, comments, or questions from devotees?
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhu. This is Ashok Atma Prabhu. As usual, your class is very, very interesting, very elaborative, and it is so, simple like a vanilla. It is easy to understand, easy to observe. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam for the nectar Prabhu. It was beautiful class. Thank you.
Okay, Prabhuji, I think we'll end the session here.
Yes.
By Vaishnav Pranams.
Vaishnavebhyo Namo.
Thank you. Thank you all. We'll meet tomorrow. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji, once again.